This is Alan Brocken. Now that my kids are grown up, they say I'm the cool dad everybody talks about. To be honest, I'm a little surprised that that's how it turned out. I mean, I traveled for work a bunch, but I also had a regular discipline around making sure I was thinking about my family, finding time to connect, things like that. And so now that they're kind of grown and doing their own things, I'm here today to help you with just a short period of time, 5, 6 minutes a day, to get your head back in the family game with a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of humor, and just something to help you jog the brain and get you back into family time. One piece of advice I think applies to everybody, and I love how the airports do this: put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. And so what I want you to do is just take a second, take a deep breath in through your mouth, out through your nose. Just keep doing that for a minute and take the issues you have on your brain. You got something at work, you got a coworker, customer, maybe you got a deal that's cooking, maybe you had some mechanical failures, whatever that thing is stressing you right now. And I just want you to breathe that out and just kind of put it on a shelf, hang it on a hook, whatever you can think of, to take that out of the way and give your family your full attention for the next bit. So just keep breathing, and while you do that, I'm sure there may be something that's, even bigger than whatever I'm talking about today. So I always go to the good book when I'm got something that's overwhelming me and I don't know where to go. And so this week's verse is 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And so, if you've been taking that notebook I talked about a couple days ago, you want to write that down, go ahead and write that down. That'll help you lock it in your brain. 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And so as you start to hang things up that are on your mind, and, there may be some decisions that are just weighing on you because you're thinking about taking a chance on something. My bonus dad shared a quote that might help. All life is an experiment. Every year, if not every day, we have to wager our salvation upon some prophecy based on imperfect knowledge. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., Supreme Court Justice in 1919. What resonated with me with this is just how imperfect my own knowledge is. I regularly don't know what's going to happen. Like, I make educated guesses. I got a master's degree. I've done smart things in my life, but I just don't know. You never know. Something you think that, and especially like if you're a creator on social media like I am, something you thought was just kind of a lame, whatever, no big deal, can completely blow up, and you have no idea why. And so I think, what he's saying here is that, sometimes you just have to take an educated guess and know that it still may not pan out, right? There's a lot of talk these days about growth mindset, the idea that for any given endeavor, it's not that we can't or it won't, but that we just haven't arrived, right? That we're going to keep plugging away and we haven't arrived yet, right? So if there's something you've been working hard towards that hasn't been panning out, maybe it's time to just take a step back and look at it like an experiment you might have done in 3rd grade. Take some time to carefully define what you're trying to do, what variables you need to tweak, or to make the next move, and then measure. And accepting that your knowledge of the outcome will be imperfect will help you go to finding a successful conclusion in the long run. I mean, as a writer, even though I'm like now this award-winning writer, 5 years ago, I got some advice that I should basically rethink my life. I should just set it on the shelf for a while, come back to it and rethink it. And it was devastating, right? It was like, on one level, I felt like a complete failure. But sometimes taking that deep breath, setting something aside and letting it sit for a little bit, lets us come back to it refreshed in a new pattern. And it really changed my whole trajectory from a writer. So, if you've got something that's you didn't realize it was an experiment, something maybe you've been really betting the farm on, so to speak, maybe it's time to just take a deep breath and treat it like an experiment. Figure out what's the next thing you're going to tweak and be very careful about how you're going to measure it. And so speaking of an idea and trying things until you end up with something amazing, today's good word is about some kids who invested their time into making a better world for our soldiers and veterans. In 2004, at the ages of 12 and 13 years old, Robbie and Brittany Berquist began to raise money for a soldier in Iraq after seeing news story that his phone bill was almost $8,000. They couldn't believe that a man serving our country was not able to call his family for free. With just $21, these amazing kids started Cell Phones for Soldiers. Soon they started recycling gently used cell phones and used the funds to build the Cell Phones for Soldiers organization that collects cell phones and international calling cards to give soldiers the ability to call their families. Their efforts have continued into a new organization called Helping Heroes Home, which focuses on helping soldiers transition back into civilian life. If you want to know more about this organization, you can find a link in the comments. And I gotta say, I really appreciate that story because I was a soldier. When I was in an army, pens were hard to find for personal use, right? Like you needed a pencil because it was something you could sharpen. You weren't worried about it. If it broke even, you could kind of still use a pencil. You break a pen, you got some problems. And so a lot of the things I wrote home were in a pencil. Well, today's dad word is pencil. And so, if you're still breathing, I'll give you just a little bit more, hopefully with a chuckle here. What do you call a pencil you've just thrown out the window? I don't know, but it's certainly not stationary. All right, get it? Okay. Hey, I made a pencil with 2 erasers. It was pointless. Now it's your turn. Come up with your own joke, pun, or story about a pencil and connect with your family. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Dad Word. If you're looking for some more inspiration for your family time, check out dailydadword.com and click the Daily Dad Word link in the main menu. I have a number of resources there to plant a seed for lifetime relationships with your family. If you found this focus time useful, like and subscribe to be notified about the next day's show.